Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Meals Delightful Kitchen. Today we're gonna make some snacks. We're gonna make some chips and dip. For this chips and dip, I'm gonna be using some salmon, baby, some salmon. I went with the Atlantic salmon, but you can choose whatever salmon floats your boat, honey. We don't force anybody up in here. You do whatever is your choice. We went with the Atlantic salmon. What now? I went ahead and removed the skin because what I was gonna cook it for, I didn't need the skin. Now, usually I descale my skin and cook it with it because the skin have this fat on it that give it a flavor to me. Remember, it's my business. You do whatever you want. Now, after I removed the skin, I went ahead and put some lime, put some vinegar, and just rinse it. That's it. Not deep washing, no show day. I wash it and then with cold water please, and then I dry it. I even dry my board because I didn't want too much water on my board. I wanted my I wanted my salmon to be dried before I put my seasoning on it. Now for the seasoning, y'all, you guys can use whatever you want to use, whatever seasoning is to your liking. Me, I went with salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, Old Bay, a little bit of regular seasoning, mixed seasoning. I did paprika, I did cayenne pepper. I went with dry seasoning. I did not use my regular APs that I put in my meat because I didn't want that on it. I wanted powdered seasoning so I can get what I'm looking for. After I put my seasonings on there, I went ahead and rubbed that baby, honey. I rubbed the seasoning over it. Don't be afraid to use your hands. Make sure you wash your hands, y'all. Make sure you wash your hands. I use my hands in that sucker and I rubbed it. I turn it over. I rub it again to make sure I get what I'm looking for. That's it. And then I cut it into a couple pieces. I could have you cooked it as a whole, but guess what? Y'all know I'm extra. So I went ahead and sliced it in 3 pieces so I can make it look pretty, basically. And to cook it, I put a little butter in my pan, just like this, like so. And then put it on there. And put that baby on there. That's how I cook it. Now, we don't have to go through how we make our salmon. By just looking at it, you know. They've been garden I've get on common no fail. I would say approximately 3 to 5 minutes each side, but your eyes will tell you. It all depends on what the type of skillet you're using, your heat on your stove, because you don't want it to dry too, because if you cook it with high volumes heat, it will get dry because it will get hard, and I didn't want that. Just like that. And then once one side is cooked, you flip it over and cook the other side. Just like that. Just like that. I don't know what I'm pressing, honey. Not that now that it will make a difference, but I did. And I'm Haitian, that's why I do this, because a lot of us do that. When we cooking something, we like pressing it. Why are you pressing that for, honey? It's not gonna change anything. Let me tell y'all something. Although I was gonna shred this, the piece of salmon that caught on that first one, it bothers me. For some reason, I wanted it to be done cooking as a whole, but I don't know why. The plan was to shred it anyways, but I don't know why that piece bothered me. And for the chips, y'all, I was feeling lazy. I didn't want to go to the store and get me some chips, so I had a pack of corn tortilla in the pantry, and that's exactly what I did. I cut that one. Now these are the small ones, not the huge one, and I cut it in 4 pieces, just like that. and get it ready to be fried. You see the size? Now I cut it this size. I could have cut it back in two. I want to be able to hold the piece of salmon and pick up my dip with it. I want to see some dip when I pick it up, or I grab a spoon and I pick up a spoon of dip and put it on there and eat it, because I want to feel what I'm eating. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know. Nou get a comprendre. Just like that. Y'all know how I like me a little burn. I'm not with the all white looking cooked food. I gotta have some color. That's my business. If you don't want yours well done like that, take it off before you get to that part. But that's how I like mine. That's how I'm gonna eat it. You see that piece of salmon? That piece of salmon is so rebellious. Yep, just like that. Just like that. Just like that. Listen, y'all. And that's how you shred it. Grab 2 forks and shred it how you want. Now, I've seen some people blend it, or they use a food processor. It's up to you. That's your business. You can use a food processor if you want. You can use a blender if you want, but I ain't finna feed no baby. So I shred it because I want to see the pieces of salmon on there. That's how I decided to cook it. Now on that same skillet, you can add some butter. So you can start your roux basically for the dip. I went with some butter and added a little bit of milk before I start putting the cheese, so my cheese can be well melted. I added some milk. Now for the seasoning, I did practically the same seasonings that I did for the salmon. Some people like minced garlic. You can if you want to. I didn't want to feel the piece of garlic under my teeth, but it's not gonna hurt if you put minced garlic on there. It's up to you, because garlic gives your food a lot of flavor. I went with a lot of garlic powder, and I went with onion powder, peppers. I did, you can use obey, you can use paprika, you can use cayenne pepper. It's whatever seasoning you want. There is no restrictions, and I purposely don't put no restrictions on there, because you do to the flavors that you want. Everybody's taste bud is not the same. So I'm not gonna sit here and tell you, you gotta put that, you gotta put this. As long as it's flavorful to me, and I'm okay with that. Because I like my food spicy. Some people don't like their food spicy. So whatever you like, and it's not bland, super bland, that's fine with me. And you can start adding your cheese. Now for the salt, as you can see, I'm going to add a pinch of salt. You see? Just a pinch. Anti-sel tout petit. And then of course you do your pepper. I had mentioned that already. And you start adding your cheese, baby. For the cheese, I went with mozzarella. Because I wanted that stringy feeling. Yep, just like that. Remember, the stove is not on high. It's not on high because we don't want super burn, super boily. See, I went with the mozzarella cheese. This cheese is mixed. It's whatever cheese you want to put in there. I've seen other people put just Parmesan. Si white ou une tête de mort. It's whatever cheese you want to put on there, because your dip is what you want. It's flavors that you want. One of the reasons I wanted to make the spinach dip at home, every time I buy the spinach dip at the store, it's usually very it's creamy, but it gives me like a sour cream texture. I'm not too crazy about those type of spinach dip. I'm sorry. I'm not too crazy about those type of spinach dips. So I went ahead and put whatever cheese I want, and I put a lot of Parmesan. These two were the most that I put on there. And wait until it's melted. If it's too hot, add a little bit of milk so you can loosen it up a little bit. Now, while I was doing this, I had already cleaned my spinach and let it stay in the strainer so it can drain, because you want it to remove all the excess water. The spinach that I bought was the ones in the bag. It says it's ready to eat, but y'all know we're gonna have to give it a rinse just in case they forgot. You know what I mean? Wink, wink. Like this, like so. You melt your cheese and put your meat in there. Put your salmon in there. Now, even at this point, you can taste and adjust your flavor if possible. If needed, I should say. If needed. Nou ka ajuste saveur lan, nou ka mette plus pou d'épices si nou vle, nou ka mette sel. Mbat le mette en pile sel paske fromajan salé, the cheese. Whenever I'm dealing with cheese, I'm very careful on the salt, because ain't nobody gonna have a high blood pressure up in here, especially with all these cheese, y'all. And put your spinach in there. I left my spinach as a whole because it's my business. No, I'm gonna tell you why I left it in there. I'm not gonna be like this, Fabi. Not like this. I left my spinach as a whole because, as you can see, the sizes of my chips, I want to taste the spinach. By the way, guys, I love spinach. Spinach is one of my favorite vegetables. I love sauteed spinach. I love eating spinach. And even when I'm making soup, I want to see my spinach. I don't want to shred it too little where I don't even see it, because, once it's cooked, it gets very small. So I want to see the whole leaves on there. You see that piece? I ate it just like that. So I like to see my spinach in my dip. So I didn't want to overcook. I didn't want to shred it so it doesn't disappear in my hand. Because when I scoop it up with my chips, I want to see it in there. But if you want, you can shred it. It's not going to hurt the dip. It's going to be the same consistency. It's just me. I like to see it on there. And then you stir it until everything is well incorporated. When I first put that in there, as you can see, I didn't add all the spinach. I wish I did, so I could have more spinach. But it looked like it couldn't take any more. But honey, let me tell you, by the time this thing get cooked down, oh my God, it looked like I barely had spinach in there. Baga la semble comme si m'bat gen épinal la dan, épinal an te getan fini. But I didn't want to put it after the first batch was cooked. I said, you know what, I'm gonna stay with that. Next time I'm gonna use a bigger pen. Pem pain, mes amis. Next time I'm gonna use a bigger pan and add more spinach. You see, I'm gonna show you guys on the other angle. You see the spinach disappear. It looks like it didn't have no spinach, and at that point it's done, practically done. And you can remember, even at this point, you can adjust your flavor, adjust your taste. If you need to add spices, go ahead and do so. You see, that's why I kept tasting it. At this point, my stove is very, very low. And you can add spices if you want. In my case, I wanted some spice. I wanted piqué. So some cayenne pepper would definitely help. Like this, like so. See, in this case, I added some cayenne pepper because I figured, oh, let's put a little bit more spice. Now, don't do what I do now. I like spicy food. Since I'm making it for me, that's done. You see the spinach? It looks like I needed twice spinach in there. You put it in the containers that you're gonna bake it in. Now in this case, I did several small bowls. It's just preferences, but you don't have to. You could have used one big container depending on who you're making it for. And once you put it on the container, of course you clean up the bowl. You don't want it to be cooked and then the bowl look all nasty and crusty on the end. And you put some cheese over it. Put some mozzarella. And bake it. Like this, like so. I make sure it's covered in cheese. And bake it. You put your stove at 350 degrees and bake it for like 5 minutes. It didn't have to be long. I bake it until the color, I get like a dark color on top of it. Now for the chips, basically what we had to do with the chips was fry it. You put oil, whatever oil you fry with, there's no preference. But I had vegetable oils. That's what I usually use. See, I'm yawning. Even after I ate it. And I didn't just finish making it as I'm doing the voice recording. And I'm looking at it, I'm yawning. I really want some right now. You wait until your oil is hot enough and you start frying it. Listen, I was doing everything. I did it one by one because, I cut it all together and some of them were stick with one another. So I said, you know what? Let me do it one by one. I know that's more time, but I figured if I drop a clumps of it, it's gonna fry it sticking together. So I did it one by one. Sorry, I'm taking your time. Well, where y'all gotta go? Come on now, let's make some chips with me. Like this, like so. Make sure it's immersed in the water, in the oil. Some of y'all probably like, it's time consuming. You could have get a bag of chips. Yep, I could. But let me tell you, when you know how to do different things, if you're somewhere and you don't have that available to you, you can improvise. That's the whole point of knowing how to do certain stuff. It's not because you couldn't find it somewhere cheaper or convenient. But why not know how to do it? It's fun. To me, it's the fun of it. And the fact that I made my own chips and sat there and ate. When I tell y'all, I had the house to myself that night. Listen, I cooked that. I ate it by myself. Let me tell you something. I enjoyed myself. My girlfriend came over with her children. She enjoyed it. Let me tell you something. Her kids loved it. I don't think my husband had any. I don't think he had any of the chips. But it was good. I took some to work the next day. Sis enjoyed it. Okay. I did. You see? Now, don't come for me now because y'all know my chips have to look a little on the darker side. I want them to look just like me. Just like me. Because if I don't see no colors, I'm not gonna eat it. If I'm gonna fry something, I want it to look like it's fried. I don't want nothing that looks like, oops, you know what? I was scared to fry you. No, honey. If I'm gonna waste my oil, I might as well use it. You know? Y'all didn't need to see the second batch, but y'all know I was the only one doing it. And once that oil was hot, I didn't want to keep myself occupied. So I went ahead and did that. Now on the chips, as you can see, I pour a little bit of salt over it, and I did it before it gets too cold. This way the salt can get in the chips. Même j'en leur fais papita. Ou fin fais papita et pour mettre un petit sel tout petit, m'bat bet en pile. I didn't put a lot. I just didn't want, if somebody didn't want, because I made so much, I didn't want if somebody didn't want to eat the dip, they couldn't eat the chips because it was sans sel. So that's why I put a little bit of salt over it, not a lot at all. And my dip came out, y'all. You see how it's looking? Let me tell you, this is the burn that you're looking for. You want the top to get a little crusty, and that's about it. There we go. Listen, I was trying to take this while I was letting the dip cool down a little bit. I was finishing up with the rest of the chips. And there you go. Look at the chips, y'all. Yeah, some of it burned a little bit more, but those were my favorite, to be honest with you. I like the burnt taste to it. And there we go. This is our chips and dip. Like, listen, if y'all bored or you guys, it's football night, you guys having family over and you have the tortilla, how many of you would buy the tortilla and then they stay in your fridge and not eat them? There we go. There's a recipe that you can make with it. Make you some chips and dip. You don't have to use, you see what I was saying? How I want, it was super hot. The hotter it is, the more liquid it is. But once you wait for it to get a little cool down, that's how I want to see my spinach, guys. That's how I want to see my spinach. Listen, y'all. Thank you so much. I got too excited. Thank you so much for being part of this again. Thank you for watching. Guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on your notification box. And I promise I will see you on the next video. Thank you.